Well, here's another Washington, D.C. scandal for you tonight. House Republicans recently voted to keep using congressional earmarks for projects when they take power in January. This will allow lawmakers to allocate millions of dollars for their districts through pork projects hidden in bills. It is corrupt, it is costly, and it's totally at odds with the Constitution. Here to explain why, the man who fought valiantly to end congressional earmarks, California Congressman and member of the House Judiciary Committee, Tom McClintock. Great to see you. What's this all about? I can't believe Republicans want this stuff.
Well, it's a consequence of too much spending. We are spending and printing trillions of dollars we don't have. It's run up the biggest debt in our history. It's ignited the worst inflation in 40 years. It's brought on an economic recession. The next Congress is going to have to learn to pronounce the word no, and earmarks simply make that job so much harder.
We talked about this on the podcast this week, and you made a really, really compelling constitutional argument about why earmarks are so wrong. Could you just quickly try and capture that for us tonight?
It has been a settled principle of governance since the days of Magna Carta that the power to appropriate funds should be entirely separate from the power to spend those funds. Congress appropriates funds but can't spend them. The president spends funds but cannot appropriate them. It's one of the most important anti-corruption mechanisms we have in our Constitution. And they're not a normal part of spending. In 1817, President James Madison, who was the father of the Constitution, vetoed a bill with earmarks, which he said subverted that separation of powers and wasted money on what he said were worse than useless projects. That part hasn't changed.
And also, people might think this is just, a bit of money here for some, like random museum in the members' district or whatever. But it all adds up to a lot of money, doesn't it?
In the last omnibus bill in March, there are nearly 5,000 earmarks, totaling about $9 billion. But that's not the real damage. The real damage is the log rolling that goes on. And the multi-billion-dollar spending bills that those earmarks grease the skids for. That's why Tom Coburn called them the gateway drug for spending.
I just want to underline that point quickly, and if you could respond, which is the whole argument for these is that, it's a way of getting members of Congress to vote for things that they don't agree with. That just seems completely twisted.
Explain to me why that's a good thing. It's true that a bill a member's own judgment tells them to vote against suddenly becomes an imperative when some local earmarks are added. I don't understand how it's a good thing to encourage members to support legislation they know is going to hurt the country just because it helps their district.
There you are. Brilliant. Congressman, good for you for fighting this. I'm sorry you lost the battle, but I'm sure you'll keep at it. And as I mentioned, we had a great conversation, much longer on the podcast. So go and check that out. It's the Daily California. Stay with us. Much more up ahead.